We're joined now by Andrew Ullmann. He is a member of the German Parliament for the business-friendly FDP party and a member of the German Health Alliance Advisory Board. Welcome to the program, and thank you so much for joining us. We just want to look back now over the past year. There had been calls 1 year ago for the WHO to declare a global pandemic weeks before they actually did in March of 2020. How much damage did that delay do, in your view, in your opinion?
I think it did a lot of damage because a lot of people, and even myself, underestimated the pandemic starting off in January. We were still hoping it would be very similar to the first outbreak of SARS-1 a couple of years back, and we were hoping that would be the same situation for SARS-CoV-2. However, the data, the emerging data later on actually proved the fact that there were a lot more cases than originally known, and it would have been important for a lot of governments worldwide to try to contain the disease early on. And right now, we're not even doing well for mitigation.
We're not even doing well for mitigation. Is there anything that has been done right over the past year?
Well, if I look at it very closely, how it was working here in Germany, we got very lucky because our country was one of the first countries who had a test available to diagnose the infection of SARS-CoV-2. And therefore, we had a head start with the first wave. And the necessity of a lockdown early on was obvious because we didn't know much about the virus. We didn't know much how to contain the virus. We didn't know how the population has to behave to contain the disease. But we got lazy. We got very lazy over the summer months because the numbers were very low throughout Europe. And we were almost back in vacation mode, holiday mode. And I think that was a major mistake not to ensure that our systems were more resilient against the second wave. Because if we look at previous histories of pandemics, and especially looking at the flu situation back in 1918, that came back with a couple of waves, and it was obvious for me as an infectious disease specialist that the second wave had to come in the winter months because we always have respiratory infections in the winter months. However, we didn't prepare ourselves well enough.
Absolutely, didn't prepare well enough. The EU, Germany, has come under a lot of criticism when it comes to the rates of vaccination, which really pale in comparison, for example, with the UK, the United States, for example. Tell us, what do you think needs to be done now going forward in order to get out of this sticky situation?
Well, we still have the sticky situation because we do not have enough vaccines available for the population within Europe, but the organization has to improve. Right now in Germany, vaccination is only distributed at vaccination centers that were set up in tents, basically, in major cities. And now we have a task force of a lot of physicians out there, private physicians, general practitioners. We have ambulatory medicine. We have working medicine, physicians working in large companies that can distribute that vaccine very quickly and easily because they do that every year for the flu vaccine. So this organization had to be started already a couple of weeks back or months back. However, right now the first preparations are starting. So what the government is doing at this point in time is just too slow in the pace and not a future foreseen that could happen. So we need to activate that working force of physicians that could distribute that vaccine once we have enough vaccines available. And one thing has to be very clear in the discussions if Germany is doing well or not, or the Europeans are doing well or not. We have to see it in the context of the global pandemic, because as long as the pandemic is still active around the world, it will never stop within our country as well. And that is very important to know, because one concern I do have as a physician is the possibility of more mutated viruses out there that could be more resistant against any kind of vaccination.
Okay, so the world is in it together. Andrew Ullmann, member of the German Parliament, thank you so much for joining us on DW News.
Thank you very much.